Hector, son of King Priam of Troy, was a brave and noble prince. As the leader of the Trojan forces, he fought fiercely against the Greeks who had laid siege to the city for years. Hector became a symbol of strength and courage for his people. Unlike many warriors, Hector didn't fight for personal glory. His motivation came from protecting his family and city, especially his wife Andromache and their young son, Astyanax, whom he loved deeply. At the start of the war, Hector led the Trojans in many successful battles against the Greeks. He knew the fate of Troy rested on his shoulders and fought tirelessly to defend his home from the invaders. His greatest adversary was Achilles, the legendary Greek warrior considered the most powerful man in the Greek army. Hector knew that a confrontation with Achilles was inevitable, and that it would be decisive in the war. In one of the battles, Hector killed Patroclus, the dear friend of Achilles, mistaking him for Achilles due to the armor he wore. This action enraged Achilles and ignited his desire for revenge, making Hector his primary target. Hector knew Achilles would come for him, but he chose to remain and fight for Troy. His wife, Andromache, begged him to stay away from the battle, but Hector responded, "I cannot run from my fate." Achilles approached the walls of Troy, burning with anger, and called out Hector for a duel. Hector knew that this fight would determine his life or death, but he accepted the challenge with unmatched bravery. Hector went out to face Achilles before the walls of Troy. As they neared each other, Hector hesitated for a moment, overwhelmed by the fear of his enemy's might. He began to run around the city walls, with Achilles in relentless pursuit. After circling the walls 3 times, Hector decided to stop and face his fate. He asked Achilles to return his body to his family if he were to die, but Achilles, still consumed by rage, cruelly refused. The two warriors fought ferociously, but in the end, it was Achilles' superhuman strength that won the day. With a deadly strike, Achilles pierced Hector's body, bringing the Trojan prince down. After killing Hector, Achilles committed a terrible act. He tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it around the walls of Troy, humiliating the fallen hero in front of his family and the people of the city. Inside the city, Andromache was overcome with grief and despair when she saw her husband's lifeless body being dragged. She knew that with Hector's death, the fate of Troy was sealed, and there would be no one left to protect her and her son. Even though Achilles wanted to leave Hector's body unburied, the gods intervened. Zeus ordered Achilles to allow King Priam, Hector's father, to retrieve the body. Priam set out for Achilles' camp under the cover of night to plead for his son's return. When Priam reached Achilles' tent, he begged him to show mercy, reminding Achilles of his own father. Moved by Priam's words and his grief, Achilles agreed to return Hector's body, allowing it to be buried with honor. Hector's body was brought back to Troy, where the Trojans held a grand funeral for their fallen prince. The entire city mourned for their greatest hero, the defender who had stood strong in the face of overwhelming odds. With Hector's death, Troy's fate became inevitable.